Midday. And that is really what this last practice session is all about for the 33 drivers entered in the 107th running of the greatest spectacle in racing, and that is trying to fine-tune everything possible for these cars before Sunday's race. And earlier in the initial practice window that's still ongoing, as you can hear in front of us here at the Speedway, a brief panel was loose on the side of defending champion Marcus Ericsson's car. He immediately noticed it, went and made a pit stop, and they were able to adjust that and get things squared away and ready to go for him to go back out there and continue with his practice time. Again, that's going to continue from now until 1 o'clock. So over the next hour, we'll continue to update you as well on speeds, on reports if there's any accidents, anything that's fine-tuned and worked out by these respective teams. We'll have you covered throughout the afternoon. But with Brendan King and Eddie Garrison back at the studio, there's an important question that I need to have answered immediately.
Jimmy.
And that is, am I the rookie of the group? And the reason I ask that is because our fine Nick Cottengem, social media director of all of our stations here at Radio 1, and specifically here at The Fan, tweeted out our predictions for the 107th running of the greatest spectacle in racing earlier today. And I went chalk. I took Alex Palou. And the main reason I did it is because every interview that he's given throughout this process, you could say this with every driver, but for me, with Alex, I love everything that I'm hearing from him. The car is plenty fast enough as he's the pole sitter for the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500, but this is the first public pick that I've made outside of Jay Cook Plays of the Day, and I feel like I'm on an island, BK, so I need to know, did I make a mistake? Did I fall for fool's gold?
No.
And he chuckled at me yesterday when I told him that I was going to take Palou to take this thing on Sunday.
No, I don't think that makes you a rookie. I think that's a well-versed pick, Jimmy Cook, but picking chalk in the Indianapolis 500 is a little different than picking chalk in the NCAA tournament, per se, because in the NCAA tournament, I actually want to say it's worse picking chalk in the NCAA tournament. I hate picking
so
chalk.
So do I.
When I see a bracket, Jimmy, of a Final Four featuring all number one seeds, it makes me want to pull my hair out.
I'm right there with you.
I don't think the same when it comes to the Indianapolis 500 and picking the betting favorite, because at the end of the day, Palou is still a plus 400 better to go win this race, and statistically, he's the fastest pole winner ever. So that's the thing, because here at the Indianapolis 500, we get a preview, a legitimate preview of what's to come in the race. In the NCAA tournament, you get a conference tournament, which means absolutely nothing in comparison to how they're going to perform in the NCAA tournament. So I'm not going to go full mean mode. I'm not going to join Eddie here. I think that is a smart pick, Jimmy Cook, but I am concerned in my own right because I selected Alexander Rossi, and Nick did not tell me I was one of 3 people to select Alexander Rossi.
Hey,
so
good
now
news for you,
I'm
though,
freaking out.
Is that I'm also on Alexander Rossi. That's the good news for you.
I feel horrible about that. That makes me feel even worse, to be honest with you. No offense to Eddie, I love you.
The last time we were on the same driver was Elio Castroneves. Look how that turned out.
Because I told you to pick him.
No.
I did.
No.
I tell you what, I won $900 on Elio winning. I am very happy to admit I won $900 on Elio winning in 2021.
I got in a disagreement with Eddie yesterday. I'm going to defer to him and say that you both made that selection together in unison. I believe he just tried to give you an olive branch there, and you threw it back at his face.
I'm not going to take that. No, but I feel horrible about it. But I will say I made a couple bets before qualifying weekend. I'm proud to say I got Santino Ferrucci at plus 7,500.
Man.
That is what I'm running this month with right now. And then I took Takuma Sato before qualifying at plus 1,800, and right now he is your fastest car on Carb Day here at the 500 at 227.855. So I do have some options, but I guess in my official pick I went with Alexander Rossi. I'm not going to change that, but I will say it makes me feel a little heebie-jeebie that I had to agree with Eddie Garrison and Kevin Bowen on that.
Well, we love to throw out bets whenever we can, and fear not, we're going to throw out plenty today, though our official, I won't say official 500 picks, but I have more than one bet.
Then what are they? It's Friday.
I have well, no, the reason I say it that way, is because our official picks have already been posted on The Fan at 107.5 The Fan. However, with a race like this, much like when you're trying to bet a major, you can get such great odds everywhere that I think you would be foolish, assuming you're having just small bets here and there, to not sprinkle a couple. So I've done that. I have a couple of variety bets that I've done. Eddie Garrison is going to give out a handful of his bets that he has as well towards the end of the show. Brendan will join us on that and share what other bets he's been able to place. I will say, though, I was able to get a wager in for Alex Palou last night, plus 600 is the juice there.
Oh, wow.
So again,
okay,
a little bit nicer.
I think it differs kind of depending on where you go.
Sure. You can shop around. That was from DraftKings Sportsbook, not a sponsor. We have no sponsors on the Sportsbook end here on the Fan Midday Show. But Eddie will give that to us as well. Doug Kazarian is going to join us at 2:30 of ESPN and ESPN's The Daily Wager. He's going to take us through his insights on the Indy 500. We'll also probably dive in a little bit to the NBA playoffs and the Eastern Conference Finals as well, as that has suddenly become a series. We joked about it a couple days ago, the old 4 days in October mentality. The Boston Celtics, don't let them get one. Now they let them get two. Is that thing going 7? I will say this much before we dive into more 500 coverage, BK. The Celtics have done what I wanted them to do to this point, which is give me more drama on Saturday night. It adds another thing to this weekend in terms of my sports calendar, in terms of going out with friends. While I'd rather it be racers and pacers, of course, everybody would. But the fact that we now have at least a little bit of drama within the Eastern Conference Finals for a Saturday night continues to add to the festivities of one of the best sporting weekends, if not the best sporting weekend of the year.
Oh, Saturday is going to be great, Jimmy, because, of course, you're going into 500 Sunday. But as you just said, you get some more Heat and Celtics. And then now you're going to get Game 5 between the Stars and the Knights in the NHL Western Conference Final. Jimmy, I will say it's been a minute since we've worked together, so there's been a lot of stress in my life, not for a bad reason, but just because it is tough watching a baseball game when you are also trying to watch a hockey game when you're in the broadcast booth. Now, thankfully, I will say there is a television in pretty much every broadcast booth in the Midwest League, so I've caught every Florida Panthers game. Happy to say that. Sure. The Panthers are going to the Stanley Cup Final. I cannot believe it. It's unbelievable. Our team is going. So, yes, it's going to be a spectacular sports weekend, and Game 1 of the Final starts early next week, so can't wait.
Going to be a full slate. We're looking forward to bringing you reactions to all of that throughout the week. Next week, and of course, have a recap as well of the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500. Now, we joke about it all the time in the world of sports of the old Allen Iverson age-old adage of, not a game. We talk about practice here, BK. There is a certain level of understated importance of today. For me, and this is why I'm not one of the 33 drivers in the field, and why I would never want that type of responsibility.
The only reason you're not one of the 33?
One of the many reasons for why I'm not one of them is I would be very cautious today, right? You want to obviously fine-tune and do whatever you can, but one false move, and all of a sudden you're knocked out on the 107th running, and it's drama and sadness for the next couple of days. They caught early while you guys were on the air, and I know you talked about it as well with Scott Agnes a little bit earlier, that they caught a little bit of the side panel of Marcus Ericsson flopping around a little bit at those high speeds. He's going 223 miles an hour, and they caught it right away, able to fix it, able to get that adjusted. That is really the large part of what today is. At a minimum, if you are trying to play it safe, your main goal in that regard is to do whatever you can to simulate race day as close as possible, so that if there's any issues with it, like what Ericsson had to deal with, if there's an issue with a front flapper or something with the front, whatever the case may be, you want to get everything in order as close as you can to race day conditions, so that a situation like that, they mentioned this on the NBC's telecast as well, Ericsson has something like that go wrong on race day, that probably sets you a lap behind the pace, that probably ends your contention in the 107th running.
Yeah, and if anybody took the Ericsson plus 1,200 to start, I mean, that's a breath of fresh air that it happens today and not on Sunday. But, man, I can't believe we were talking about this at the 10-12 show, but Chip Ganassi, I mean, it's the rich get richer, Jimmy. You have the defending champ, you have the two fastest pole runners in Indianapolis 500 history, one last year in Dixon, one this year in Palou, and then you're able to swap out, it truly is a swap, Tony Kanaan for Takuma Sato. Good for you, Chip. Nice job, Chip. I don't know how he has done that. It's basically a trade for TK for Sato. I mean, you take one Indy 500 champ, you put in now a two-time winner, and Takuma's got a chance for number 3. I think he's got the car to do it. I think every one of those Ganassi cars can win the race, Jimmy. I think every one of those McLaren cars can win the race, too. And then we haven't even talked about Penske yet, because they were comfortable enough on qualifying weekend. Team Penske was Newgarden and McLaughlin. They were fine, sacrificing their original qualifying effort to go later in the day. Now, it did have some strategy to it with weather and whatnot, but they felt good enough about their cars that, okay, we're not even going to post a time in the morning. We are going to risk something horrible happening to go out there in the afternoon for a better weather slot. And if we're going to take the risk of either 1, crashing, 2, losing a piece of your car, or 3, something just going haywire electrical. So you don't take that chance, albeit Team Penske, they have everything to go do. They have everything on their cars to go win this race. But, for a team that's a little bit smaller, I don't think they take that opportunity. So we haven't even talked about those Penske cars yet. This depth of the field, Jimmy, I don't think it's anything like the past 2 races.
And the other thing we haven't mentioned as well, but you and I had talked to a little bit as well with Eddie in the lead up to both Carb Day and obviously our continuing countdown of the 107th running, is what happens with the opportunity at hand for Graham Rahal. Now, of course, our heart breaks, as the racing community breaks, for Stefan Wilson and not have the opportunity to go compete out there. But I was as locked in as you were, as Eddie was, to quals over the weekend, and a real sense of just high-level, heartbreaking emotion for Graham Rahal, getting bumped the same way his dad did 30 years prior, and then all of a sudden, you in this business and any business, BK, you and I both know it well, when an opportunity arrives, you seize it. You go take advantage of it. Graham Rahal has done that. One of his most recent posted speeds, 222.501 miles an hour in this final session before the 107th running. That, to me, outside of a guy close to our heart in Ed Carpenter, close to everybody's heart, where we'd like to see him finally win the greatest spectacle in racing, that and the Graham Rahal storyline are 2 of the biggest ones that I'm most looking forward to on Sunday.
We had Drew Powell, actor, good buddies with Scott Agnes from out in L.A. He mentioned, can you write a better movie script than the ebbs and flows of what qualifying was, getting bumped out of the race by your own teammate, being very humble about it? Because in the grand scheme of things, Graham Rahal was about as humble as you can get in that situation. I mean, I think anybody in their right mind would have been PO'd, and he probably was. But he still had the cognizant ability to go and, sort of accept it at the end of the day, and then all the drama that happens between Honda and Chevy to get him even in that car. I mean, and look, Jimmy, back in 2021, Graham Rahal, he was running the perfect strategy to win this race. He had the gas situation down. His car was fast. He was leading laps. He was very good. And then a bolt on his tire is the reason why he's out of the race. The tire falls off the car. It bounces onto the aero screen of Connor Daly. And see you later, Graham Rahal. He slams the Indianapolis Motor Speedway pavement in frustration, and that's the end of it. Last year, frustrating as well for Graham. I don't think if you're Graham Rahal, as you enter this race, there's no pressure on you. You're a brand new team. You're working with everybody new. Why not go do it?
Yep.
Why not just push the pace? What do you have to lose at this rate? It's not even your car. It's not even your brand. It is nothing. This is a free ride in the Indianapolis. This is like if you or me got in a car. It's like, what the hell? We don't have nothing to lose. Let's go crash this thing. Let's go crash this thing. Of course, he's not going to do that, but this is as free of a chance. This is pass and go and collecting $200.
It's the house's money of house money.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a seize-the-moment opportunity for Graham Rahal. And again, we don't know how it's going to shake out, but you're right. It has all the feelings of a Hollywood script set up in that regard. We're going to have plenty of recaps of analysis of predictions for the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500 as we roll through here on the Fan Midday Show. Joey Mulinaro is going to join us here at the